Tim, we
Hi.
are so excited to see you back as Principal Glasscott. Talk
Thanks.
to us about his journey from the Goldbergs to Schooled. And
Well, his journey was like, it was long. I started coming in to do the Goldbergs, and it was just supposed to be one episode. And then I had a good time, and obviously those guys liked me. And then they said, we're going to write more high school episodes, and we'd like for you to do the principal some more. And so that was how it started. It was like 5 years, I guess. I don't even know. But yeah, so it was a long time. And then they came to me after a certain point and said they were thinking about doing a spinoff based on the high school. And I was like, for me? And they, Adam and, they came and said they were thinking about it. So it's been a long journey. And we did one pilot, and then it did well. It was aired, and it did well. And then we did this other one, and here we are, this new show.
and here we are, coming from the 80s on the Goldbergs to the 90s on Schooled.
Yeah.
One of the things that strikes me about you, you spent your real 90s on SNL. As a veteran sketch comedy guy, do your sketch comedy chops inform the way that you approach the craft of acting now, or is that something from another lifetime?
I think it's maybe a little bit different. I think with sketches, especially working at SNL, because you either write the sketches or you have a lot of more creative input into it.
Yeah.
So it's more of a personal thing. It's more of a personal expression. Whereas doing these kinds of shows, you're a little bit removed in that it's written for you and you perform it. And I think with sketch performance, it's more of a wink to the audience, you know, like they know this is a sketch. It's not
something where they're going to get entirely intimate with this character and revisit them every single week.
Yeah,
in that way.
Yes, this probably won't be developed. This will be just this little comment on whatever the sketch is a comment on. Whereas this is like a recurring thing that you learn more and more about the character as you do it, and then that sort of informs the acting. You know, like you were asking me about the difference in the acting. So I think that's part of it. Like, there's things that I learn about the character because they wrote it in there. Like, for instance, he has a bird, a parrot named Feather Locklear. And so just knowing that he has a pet, a parrot that he loves, gives me a little bit of idea of like, of who he is. He's a little bit goofy and a little bit overly serious. He wants to be taken seriously.
Absolutely.
But he's sort of goofy.
Music.
You have no experience or knowledge or references.
Actually, I do have one reference.
Hello, Jonathan.
Oh, me.
On that note, talk about his dynamic with Lainey, how they, how they interact, and without giving anything away, of course.
It's interesting because she was a former student of his, and he's skeptical about giving her a teaching job. And Beverly Goldberg convinces him to give her the job. And so he's not totally into it, but then he realizes that his job as her teacher is still happening. So now he's teaching her about life more than just about subjects, you know, or school subjects.
Absolutely. Well, just a couple of more questions. I heard you mentioned when we were talking about movies and series set in high schools, you mentioned Cooley High. Why is that such a heartfelt, significant film that everybody should see?
It's from my youth, so that's one reason it was important. And it's set in Chicago. It's from about a real school. And for me, it was one of the first movies that I saw that somewhat represented the environment that I grew up in. Yeah, I grew up in Detroit. It was different from Chicago. But the characters in that movie are a lot like the people that I knew. And the things that affected those characters, whether it be girls or drugs or cops or whatever, those things seemed real to me. So yeah, I mean, Cooley High was like is an important movie for a lot of people my age and a lot of people that I knew growing up.
Even though Schooled is, obviously a more lighthearted comedy than something so serious as Cooley High, how do you think Schooled might reflect some things that people are going through now? One of your castmates, Brian, mentioned, or rather he gushed about how positive the tone is of Schooled in the middle of all of the cynical things that we're experiencing in the world. How do you think this series might impact the way the viewers feel?
Well, I mean, I think anything positive now is great, and this show it shows characters that they care about each other and root for each other, and the characters compete with each other, and they have fallings out. They fall out with each other. But it's like I don't know. I guess it's like about the inherently good in people, and I don't know what kind of impact it'll have. I don't know if anything can have any kind of
Anything in
impact.
celebrating the good in people has a good impact. I think that's a great answer.
Well, I would hope that it would have a good impact, but I'm I wish I could be more assured of it, but I don't know. It's just a weird time.
Well, on a
Happier
happier note, so this show spends a lot of time referencing great things from the 90s, music, fashion, and even though we probably won't see Principal Glasgow dance,
Right.
what are some of your favorite songs or movies from the 90s that you love seeing people referenced? So
I think, well, I guess when I think of the 90s, for me personally, I think more of grunge music and Seattle music. I was really into that. And so, I mean, we
the
cover a little
Singles
bit
movie,
of that. Yeah.
Singles, Nirvana, Soundgarden.
Yes, I loved music from that time. I thought it was a really good time musically.
Did you actually go to Lollapalooza and all that and see?
Yeah, Beastie Boys and Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I used to like band, like the Lemonheads. I like mention bands to people now, and they're like, who? But like, yeah, the Lemonheads and Juliana Hatfield and Belly, bands like that I used to dig. And I love music in general. But from the '90s, there was a span of music that I thought was great, and then there was like some really interesting R&B stuff that was going on in the '90s with like, Bobby Brown and Belle Biv DeVoe, and rap music and everything too was pretty good in the '90s.
The 90s gave us Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with the 90s
That's
just
one of
for
my
that.
favorite bands ever. I love Tribe Called Quest.
Well, we'll be looking for you as the principal on Schooled, and thank you again for being such a trooper today, and we hope you feel better.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Perfect.